Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SCL. Some Season 6 action to get ourselves underway as we are going to see Roses taking on Narcis. A beautiful shot from Fecky to get us off started. We are going to slowly continue to see what this T-side has in store for us here in the pistol. Roses have had themselves a pretty good start so far in this season, going 2-0 quite early on, Team Narcis. On the other hand, going 4-1, we're going to see if Roses can continue their undefeated streak and Infi, Milza to find themselves one apiece, and a really good start for those two. Now we're going to see this 3v4. Greatest Mills tagged quite low. So we'll be down to Heist and Infi to really do a lot of the hard, heavy lifting. As Oxide to find himself the first frag. Potential here for Heist to go down quite early on, and will. The last two spotted. Now we're going to start to see Roses here in the retake. The 2v3 situation. Kit is in play as Greatest to continue to try and hold that line. We are going to slowly see Roses look to back off here, keeping that Kit, keeping the smoke in play. As Infi to try and play around the bomb. We are going to see Infi actually look to take the flank. Good enough for one. Trying to keep the second around. Will eventually fall. As that bomb will go off. As Hecky will fall to the bomb. Greatest keep himself alive. As we do start to slowly get ourselves underway here. Quite an explosive start coming in from both of these sides. Lots of frags, lots of trades. As we are going to slowly continue to see this T-side getting pressure against this CT side quite early on. Beautiful run boost there. As we are going to slowly see Hayes to slowly get himself a little bit of wiggle room. A beautiful shot with that deagle and the nade, even better. Hecky eats it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with the smoke going down. He's going to find that frag before the smoke does pop. There's a wonderful way to start out here for this T-side. Rifles to be thrown away, not blown away. A really good economic tactic coming through. They know the scout definitely around this A site. I'm going to see, is it good enough for one? Greatest to find himself that frag with that MP9. Good enough to shut down one. Does shut down the second. Oxide to get that trade. Oxide to continue to find frags. Good enough to find himself Zick. And now the 1v2 situation. The bomb to go down. Oxide, a lot of work to do. Is he expecting this player here from short? And he is. A bit of work to do, and he's going to be able to do it. Finds himself two. Narcis able to find themselves a really crucial second round coming through. You know, the amount of times we see that second round drops quite early on here in these halves, it can really dictate the way that this game flows, dictate the way that we do see the economy protected. Timeout to come through as it looks as if we are going to see both teams having a bit of a quick chat. So we are going to get ourselves underway yet again. Oxide has had himself a really good start so far. 5 frags, only for the 1 death. Going to continue to see Oxide able to find himself an early frag. Mills to be left by his lonesome here after that middle push does leave this Team Narcis side with a lot of thinking to do. Keeping those 2 AKs here The economy on Fecky will require a drop. Hecky as well will get himself a Mac 10. We're only going to see a third AK brought into this round. I think it's a really good read of the team economy at the moment from Team Narcis to be able to see that, you know, they've probably got deagles, maybe even a scout or two, knowing they're about that 3k mark. Can't have themselves a full investment yet. Getting these Mac 10s in to try and farm up a little bit of cash, get a few of your guys who aren't performing as well. A few frags on the board, you know, it's a really, really big thing as we are going to see Mackie Oxide to be able to find themselves one apiece. Zik to be good enough for one Infi to find that trade onto Greatest, and now all of a sudden a 2v1 situation. Infi to have himself an AK-47, looking to try and get some damage done through this middle area of the map. Will start to push through. That flash going out as Oxide, a beautiful frag. Beautiful flick to be able to find the head of Infi there. As we see Roses yet to put themselves up around on the board, finally getting rifles here on this CT side. Zik to have himself the AWP, the big green, looking to get to work against Hecky, who has read the economy quite well. You know, we see those Mac 10s quite swiftly and abruptly make their way away from the server. So we now see Oxide continue to try and find frags. I can see Milsner to be flashed through towards his car area of the map. Good enough to find Oxide. The AK to be recovered. More importantly, that Molotov on the Hecky doing so much damage. The AWP tagged so heavily, so low, so early on in this game. The big question is, you know, are we going to see that become a really big impact here in this game so far? Are we seeing the heavy damage that we're seeing, you know, Team Narcis be happy to cop early on? Is that going to be an issue early on down the line as we do see a 5v3 situation make its way in the server? 45 seconds remaining. And a B hit looking to be the plate. Milzer to have himself a smoke. See smokes go down. Bit of a cheeky one-way for Misner there, able to find himself one. Mackie to find his teammate over on that B side. The rotation to come through. Dalian to look to try and support his teammate there, but the AWP continuing to find damage. More importantly, we are going to see that trade come through from Mackie, but eventually going down. The AWP getting the best of the Rifler, and Roses able to pick themselves up a first round so far. So we are going to slowly see now Roses to continue the heavy push coming through. The one-way smoke to be thrown out. Becky to be tagged up quite early on here. So we do get to slowly see Roses looking to try and hold off this T side yet again. Of course, we do know how dangerous Tech 9s and Mac 10s can be. I think especially seeing this Tech 9 quite early on, continuing to find damage, eventually able to get themselves 2 frags over here on this A site before having that frag go down. We are going to see a bomb plant. I think that's at minimum what Team Narcis wanted, trying to get themselves a little bit more control over of this site with a bomb plant. We are going to see Zik to be able to try and get a little bit of control here through this Moto smoke. It will fade, and now all of a sudden the Tech 9's looking to try and isolate this M4A1S. We are going to see Hecky actually be able to hold on for 2. A beautiful hold with that Tech 9 as Hecky to find himself 3. A timeout to be called yet again here for Roses. There's a big retake opportunity. Goes wayward. And the Tech 9's able to keep themselves a rifle. More importantly, the bomb plant and the round win allowing them to reinvest into this round. So we are going to continue to slowly see now. Roses look to try and get themselves into a position where they can potentially get the better of Team Narcis being that dominant side so far. We are going to continue to see a big fight through second mid. And an absolute beatdown quite early on. As we now continue to see Infi needing to try and hold himself for 2. Good enough for his first frag. Potential for the second to come through. But the question is, will it? To push through. Able to catch that AK off guard. And now Hecky with the AWP towards his B site. Left by his lonesome here in this 1v3 situation. The AK to be recovered. Going to see Hecky able to find himself one. Potential here for Misner to shut down the Orpha's dreams. And he will. As we do continue to slowly see Roses continue to try and compete in this game. We are going to see Oxide to look to try and take this fight on through Khan with that Deagle. Jiggle peeking that corner. Hecky with the AWP, the hero AWP, might I add, to try and find himself an opening pick here against these rifles. More importantly, I'm going to slowly see Roses here on this B side, looking to try and hold what's looking to be a B attack coming through. Car control to be taken and maintained here by this T side. The Deagles looking to try and get themselves at least a frag. So we are going to see Misner only able to find himself one as the Deagles overrun this B site. Rifles to be collected. Oxide, the only person without a rifle. We are going to see Becky to continue to try and get a little bit of work through. We are going to see Dalian to find himself a frag. And now Infi left by his lonesome, forced to just save. I'm going to see a rifle actually thrown away as Dalian to recover himself an M4A1S. Infi to continue to stay alive. As we do continue to slowly see, a big push coming through in for this Team Narcis side. So we are going to continue to slowly My apologies, chat. I just had my cat rip out half of my cords. So I couldn't see anything. Thank God the computer's still working, otherwise the stream would have gone down, but that's okay. Speaking of ripping stuff out, we are seeing Roses just completely rip the life out of Narcis in this round here. We are going to see the Roses able to pick themselves up a third, but more importantly, my cat has been put away. I think that's a really important thing. I think a really, really big contributor at the moment is the fact that my cat has been put away. As we are going to continue to slowly see, you know, a big push coming through from Roses and Narcis. That need to go through Flash's utility to try and find Mackie, but Mackie good enough to find himself that opening frag. Does know the boost is there, will potentially get himself the second coming through. However, that smoke to go up, all but blocking the opportunities here. The Team Narcis Mackie to continue to be presence will eventually go down. We are going to see Infi good enough for one. Potential for the second as we do see that balcony drop come through. Infi to find himself two. Greatest to help out a little bit. Infi now stuck here in that one fight through Moto. Will go down, but we are going to see that trade coming through as Greatest. A beautiful, beautiful hold from those two gentlemen on that A site coming through. A lot of pressure was being put on B. And a really good job well done to be able to hold and maintain a lot of that control over on that A site when it quite really should have been given up. So we are going to see a little bit of knife damage early on in this round. A bit of a shame. However, that is Counter-Strike. That's amore, as they do say over in La France. No, it's Italian. That's okay. We'll slowly get our languages correct. We are going to continue to see Infi good enough for two, able to find himself two frags. Support to come through over on that long side. Mills not to find himself yet another frag coming through. It is going to be Hecky. With that bomb going down, all of a sudden Oxide to be able to find himself a frag. And 4 heads to find. 4 frags, more importantly, to try and remove from the server. Misna to not be the first victim and won't. We are going to see Oxide eventually going down. As Rose is able to pick themselves up a 5th. All of a sudden really looking to try and come back here in this game. And definitely a comeback that could be on, you know, quite exclusively in this game. It's an opportunity here for Roses to potentially tie this game all up. So we are going to see Zik able to find himself one. A huge frag coming through. Oxide to potentially have a big hit coming. Bit of car presence to be shown here from this T side. The 5v4 situation coming through, you know. I think a lot of the times in the 5v4s when we do see a challenge and a gauntlet being thrown down towards that T side to step up their game, we usually do see a big push coming through and likes to find himself a frag. Potential for Oxide here to try and open up this B site. Hex going down eventually. Oxide to be rewarded with the frag. A 3v3 situation coming through as we see the Roses continuing to try and be brutal here in this situation. But Oxide with the 2-man spray down. Greatest left with 1v2 situation here. Oxide quite low. Fecky, 2 bullets to the chest will be able to get the job done. Oxide needs to try and find himself this frag quite early on. Will be able to. Greatest goes down as we are going to see Narcs able to pick themselves up a 7th. are going to continue to see. Now Rose is looking to try and get themselves a big push to try and make their way back into this half. Going to see Narcis in a moment, looking to continue their push, continue their struggles against the might here of, I guess, themselves. We're seeing Narcis really play into sort of the own conditioning that they're pulling through. You know, we're seeing a bit of presence towards this B side. How has Mackie hit that shot? That is a mental shot. Jumping as well to find that frag. That's incredible. I'm going to slowly continue to see Narcis to get little bits and pieces together. We are going to continue to see Hecky looking to try and take a lot of this short control. The long wrap coming through here. Dalian try and make his way onto this side. Will be rewarded with the frag. All of a sudden, two-man B-hold looking to take a bit of a back step here. So we do see Roses just commit to the save. So we are going to continue to see now. Roses find themselves going to be behind here in the second half. With Narcis able to pick themselves up 8, they win the half. The question is, by how much so? And I think a really good sort of roundabout way of realizing will be a sort of good way of working around and playing around and being able to try and put together, you know, a coherent second half will be, you know, that big push to come through. See Narcis to continue a push coming up. Zik, Fecky to find themselves one apiece. Zik actually just going down. Mackie to continue to find frags. So we are going to see this A side entry coming through Oxide to be able to find the frag after the quick switch. Mackie is looking interesting, to say the least. Every time he's getting a frag, he is jumping up. I don't know if he's using a new scroll wheel bind or if he's just hitting spacebar every time he gets a frag. It's a bit odd. I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen something like that since my days as a silver over here in OCE. Of course, OCE silvers are the Apex silver. We'll continue to see now. Big push coming through for his T side. What it is looking as if it is going to be a hit coming through on this beat. He needs to try and hold himself good enough for 2. Potential here for him to triple up. However, Hecky will find that frag, pre-aiming, pre-firing, whatever you want to call it, into that area of the map. We are going to see the AWP continue to try and find a few frags. We're going to see Narcis to be able to close out those final 2 frags. More importantly, seeing the big push coming through as Roses look to try and take themselves a bit of a backseat heading in towards their T side. This Inferno map is starting to get a bit spicy, and more importantly, it is looking as if It's looking as if we are going to continue to see Team Narcis being able to find themselves a lot more control coming through. More importantly, I think especially a big hit coming through. We are going to see Roses now able to Roses to move towards their T side, looking to try and have themselves a bit more of a coherent push coming through. We're going to see Greater Zik to find themselves one apiece. This T side almost looking to try and find a few frags. It is going to be down to Fecky to try and hold off the push. Will eventually go down. The 3v2 situation looking to try and make its way through. Hecky all of a sudden wrapping around. We'll have to deal with this car presence. We are going to see Infi able to get one back. There's Hecky to go and save the armor. I think more importantly looking to try and put together a few pieces early on to get a hit coming through for this B site. Hecky probably will be able to find himself that frag on Infi. We will see Infi forced away. Hecky to do the same. Now it's looking as if we are going to see Roses able to find themselves the pistols. Now Zik to try and put together a few pieces. Through this mid control it will be the CT side looking to try and deal with a few pieces of the pie. More importantly, Zik to try and put together a few pieces through this mid area of the map. Roses caught on the back foot early on as we see the MP9, the hero MP9 here for this CT side. Will be able to find himself a frag. More importantly, moving on towards a little bit more of a passive holdover towards this B site. We are going to see a third man come over for the rotation. We are going to see now a second mid presence coming in from Roses. The three-man stack on the wrong site. Now I'm going to see a rotation actually start to move forward towards this short area of the map. Actually going to move towards B. This is a huge rotation from Dalian at the moment. Fecky's going to be left by his lonesome here. Has to do a lot of work. And it all starts with his first frag. We are going to see Dalian actually spot everything at the moment. Rotations to start coming at 1,000,000 miles an hour from this B site. The bomb to go down for Roses. And now the retank looking to be in position here. Magic to move his way through. We will see a jump up over towards Graveyard. The Moto phase will come through. We're going to see Mickey good enough for one, potential for the second. Infi going to be stuck holding. The angle will eventually go down. There surely had to be a com there. We're going to see Zik in the 1v3, only good enough to find himself the first frag. A 10-second defusal will come in, and all of a sudden we are going to see Narcis able to find themselves 11 in the technical timeout called here from the Roses. I assume that would have to do something with Indy. Yeah, he's gone from the server. continue to see now Team Narcis to put together a more threatening CT side coming through. You'd like to think. So now this timeout coming through. Infi looking to join back to the server, as the technical issue is looking to try and be resolved here. Looks like we are going to have an extended break coming through. As we look to get ourselves back here into the server after a long break. We are going to see Infi join back, looking to have a lot of his issues resolved. Team Narcis all of a sudden looking to try and put together a few pieces on their CT side. The Orb looking to try and get going early. Hecky to get himself that opening frag eventually. Does find himself a tag in amongst that chaos. I'm going to see flashes, Molotov, smokes to try and retake this car area. Banana push coming through. We're going to see Zek good enough for one. Actually trying to tag up that second there. Looking to try and recover this rifle, and will. The Galil to be recovered. AKs to move over towards this B side. Infi to get himself a smoke down. All of a sudden, isolating a big jewel here with Fecky and wins it. The Tech 9s to slowly make their way back towards this inner A area. Flashes, you name it, it's been thrown. I'm pretty sure the kitchen sink in there as well. We are going to see Zach continuing to try and hold this angle on towards this pit area. Dalian, good enough for two. Now a 2v2 retake situation coming through. Roses to almost get up a few pieces here. So we are going to slowly see Mackie good enough for one. Zek completely blind, will be forced away from the fight. Good enough to find himself a first and a second in the spray down. The AWP to be recovered as Rose is able to pick themselves up. A 7th coming through and a big, big hit coming towards this Rose's front. You know, aside we continue to see have their moments when trying to deal with the CT hit coming through. We are going to see now Roses to really not deal with this banana push at all, and the banana aggression coming through. Now it does look as if it is going to be an A hit. Mackie to be so aggressive down B. I'm surprised that we haven't seen that rotation come over quicker. We are going to see Dalian to force away some of that top mid control early on. Mizza Infi to find themselves one apiece. Zik to eventually find Fecky. Actually, his position through that top mid area of the map. Will eventually be compromised by that Mac 10. We are going to see the Roses able to pick themselves up an 8. Going to see this pistol rush coming through here. It looks as if we are going to see a big, big hole. As Minza to get himself to Infi to help out. Mackie now left with the AWP in a 1v2 situation, holding the line. Will eventually go down to Infi. Is Infi good enough for 3? Narcis to get a lot of damage done that round, however. It is looking as if Rose is starting to claw their way back into this one, almost like they did last half, however. The big question is, are we going to continue to see a big push coming through? So we are going to get a huge hold as Zik to find himself an early frag. Blind with that AWP, a beautiful, beautiful frag coming through. Now we start to see the B hit coming for this T side. I can see Mackie to continue a push coming through. Mackie good enough for 2. Infi to find one back. Rose is looking to try and get pieces of the puzzle organised. We are going to see Fecky pushing through that smoke. Such an aggressive play. He's going to be good enough for 2. That bomb going down. He's going to spot the last one. A 1v3 situation for greatest here. Question is, can he beat one of the greats? Only but a flash and a smoke to his name. 2 points of health remaining. Will be tagged up quite heavily by that nade. I'm going to see Greatest good enough for 1. Oxide to swing off the contact. Team Narcis to pick themselves up 12. As now, it is going to look at first as Rose is looking to try and get push coming through. We are going to see Mackie able to recover himself an AK-47, a bit of nade damage and a bit of utility presence to be shown in towards his apartment's area of the map. going to see Mackie holding this car area. We'll get a little bit of fight coming through. A few bullets to be pushed up and pushed in. We are going to see all of a sudden Roses looking to head towards this B site. We are going to see the lone hold coming in from, I do believe that is Mackie at the back of the side. It is. The question is, how quick is this cavalry coming through? The utility is down. This dark hold needs to be strong. It needs to be good. Good enough for one. Mackie needed the second there. Just can't get it. All of a sudden, we're seeing this push through the smoke. And a big chunk of damage being done there by Hecky. The nade to go down. Infi will eventually fall to it. A beautiful tag team from Hecky and from Oxide right there. Oxide has himself 19 frags, 3 assists, and probably one of the biggest assists at the moment. 20 frags. Make it 21 as Team Narcis off the back of Oxide, able to pick themselves up 13. We are going to continue to see, you know, what is looking as if it is going to be a good chunk of nade damage being done early on. That nade just a little bit too deep. Fecky good enough to find himself too. Fecky potential for the third, however. We're going to get some mid support coming through. Greatest to try and get himself an AK-47. We are going to see Zik eventually fall to Fecky's AK. He's found himself 4 so far. Definitely on for the ace, especially with Greatest's positioning. For Greatest to fall himself away. Trying to get himself off this angle. So now we are going to continue to see Greatest to be stuck here in this 1v3 situation. The bomb on the other side of the map. 50 seconds left to play. Greatest has to just purely go for frags. Greatest good enough for one. He's going to run back for that bomb, however. It's going to be down to Oxide to try and find himself a little bit of damage to try and negate the presence here of that bomb being collected. Oxide hasn't gone chasing, which I think is quite interesting. Now with 25 seconds remaining, that smoke up on that B area of the map. Greatest has a rough idea on who's where, and he's going to go through this second mid area. A smart play from the young man in this 1v2 situation. Surely the footsteps heard. We are going to see Hecky call the rotation over. Narcis to keep themselves together in a 1v2 situation. The AWP to spot Greatest out. The bomb just needs to be planted. We are going to see Hecky eventually able to find that frag. Narcis to pick themselves up 14. 2 away from being able to close this game out. And 2 away from all but certain pushes of aggression coming through from this CT side that I think the T side weren't ready for. Especially that mid hold coming through from Fecky. You know, seeing a hold that aggressive, that crucial at a time like this is usually going to see Misnuts push through that smoke, able to find himself that frag on a Mackie. Looking to try and get a little bit cheeky around that logs area. Instead, Roses to take that control. A little bit of top mid control looking to be taken. That bracket area of the map is so crucial towards that CT side. You know, looking at the setups that we usually do see in CSGO, especially the CT side, especially around Team Counter-Strike. It's so crucial when that hold is on point. We are going to see yet another push come through. For Milzor to get himself a frag. Heist to also get himself a frag. Now the 2v3 situation here on this A site. Dalian needs himself a big roll. The fact that he goes down, Oxide left to save, and I think he saved just before. He made the decision to save even before his teammate went down. We are going to continue to look and see, you know, what is coming through as Team Narcis to give up a 10th here. It's now Fecky to continue what has been a dominant mid-hold from this young man. So we're going to see Milzer to try and get a little bit spicy there with some of that B hold. Will be able to find himself an early frag. Now this 4v4 situation untangling the Hero M4 here from Oxide. Coming through, we are going to see now Mackie to push through and get a little bit of damage done. Zik with that smoke out towards that B side, looking to try and draw a rotation over. We have seen, as of recent, the rotations coming through for Team Narcis have either been really delayed or really early. Really early to the point where they end up just dropping away anyway. We are going to see Greatest Mills to find themselves one apiece. Now, this B side completely open. Dalian to try and find himself a little bit of damage. However, that's Eagle with a lot of work to do. I definitely don't doubt that we will see definitely don't see a world where the Deagle can take out this 1v4. However, getting himself a little bit of damage will do. As we are going to see that frag coming in, and more importantly, it is looking as if, you know, time and time again, we are seeing, you know, individual efforts come through for a lot of these players. From Roses. It's now Oxide to continue what has been a dominant game for him. 21 frags so far to be supported by a lot of his team. Hecky, one of them with 19. We are going to see that banana push come through from Roses, and it looks as if there is going to be a little bit of a miss from this mid-hold coming through, as it will get spotted. And more importantly, we are going to continue to see that bomb go down. Very little to be said. From Narcis here on that bomb plant. More importantly, it does look as if, you know, a push coming through from Roses to try and take away at least this AK-47. We are going to see Oxide end up going down. The AK to be protected here as Team Narcis putting pretty much all of their eggs in the same basket. Zik much damage as that bomb does go off. But we do see a 12 to 14 scoreline coming through, and all of a sudden, things starting to heat up here. Roses staring down the barrel of their first loss. Team Narcis staring down the barrel of high seeding within that playoff bracket. As we do continue to see what is a game of such high importance for both of these teams. Oxide to be found with the AWP. We are going to see Zik actually be able to find himself too, more importantly. Does look as greatest to find himself that early frag. Potential here for a lot of damage to be done for the CT side. However, it's probably not going to be around. They do win. The 2v5 situation, the save has to come through here. Otherwise, it could leave a gaping hole in the economy here for this CT side. Oh, look. A big frag coming through from Greatest. Now, the lone M4 being saved has a lot of work to do. If it does, it's not going to be able to. So we are going to continue to slowly see what has become of that lead the CTs did have. Now, left just to one round. Team Narcis to continue to try and put a few pieces together of the puzzle. That scout from Mackie getting a little bit of info, however, trying to hold that angle. A beautiful shot onto Infy. That deagle from Dalian to get himself a frag. More importantly, drop off that angle. I'm surprised he didn't try to chuck it over to a teammate and pick up a second. A really selfish play coming through there from Dalian. Choosing not to support his teammates instead, with that lone AK dropping off all the way back to a really defensive pit spot. There we go. I finally got the words out. I've been having trouble with my English recently. It's a bit disturbing. I'm going to see the AWP tagged up quite heavily by that scout. Eventually swung and removed from the server. See his to try and put together a big frag. Dalian with that AK, good enough for one. Now the 2v3 situation coming through. Dalian needs himself a second, however the AWP to remove him quite quickly from that server. We are going to see Zik eventually able to make his way away from that Molotov, and now Greatest to try and hold the line here against the Deagle. Greatest needs the frag. Greatest tagged up quite a little bit. We are going to see Greatest able to find himself one. Potential for him to double up here, but the AK from Oxide all of a sudden to yet again save. 14 to 14 scoreline here is just damaging. Actually going to see Zik go down. Greatest on 3 points of health. And a really damaging round coming through from both of these sides. A lot of economic damage done towards Roses. However, the economic build up over the few rounds that they have been able to pull off coming through. We are going to see tactical timeout here. Zik really needing to sit down with his team and just say, look boys, we need to not give ourselves away. What we need to do, slow ourselves down a little bit, allow Narcis to make the mistake. That's what they've been doing so well so far in a majority of this game, and I think especially with the way we have seen Narcis be so aggressive in their rotations, so aggressive in a lot of their important side holds, How many times we've seen Narcis continue to push down Banana time and time again, where Roses have just been able to sit down, be able to wait for that push to come through, potentially a smoke, potentially after a flashbang, and just be able to find that early frag. All of a sudden, putting Narcis down in that really, really poor 4v5, 5v3 position where they're just down and they can't find, little bits and pieces coming through. Narcis on the other side, they need to have a chat. They need to sit there and go, boys, we need to stop being so aggressive. The aggression is literally giving away frags for this CT side, and if Roses are continuing to be able to take advantage of that aggression, there's absolutely no reason at all. Absolutely no reason at all. It looks like we are getting a bit of we are getting a bit of back and forth here from both of these teams in the chat. Of course, it is quite interesting to see the responses in chat, especially towards teams using all of their pauses. I know a few players have shown their discontent with all 4 pauses being used, especially when the other team is not using them. I know that a few players have been a little bit up and down with that. It's been quite interesting to see, a lot of the sort of feelings, emotions towards a lot of those really high important areas where we just continue to see, that divide grow even bigger between a lot of those teams trying to get better and a lot of those teams who are just here as, a bit of a cheeky mix. We are now going to start to look at a really important round. Round 30 is pretty much guaranteed at this point, but whoever can take 15 first all of a sudden has a lot more control pushing through in towards, those really aggressive sort of back halves, back rounds such as these ones. It's like playing a back 9 in golf. You can perform as poorly as you can. You perform as poorly as you want on the front 9. But as soon as you get onto that back 9, things start to get a little bit more serious as you try to close out the game with a little bit of style, with a little bit of pizzazz. That's exactly where we are in this game. We are going to see that smoke go down for Hecky. A lot of that top mid presence and top mid control looking to try and subside Roses here. However, the B hit looking to be the hit that is preferred. Oxide to hold himself through that new box area. And now it's just as simple as a single flashbang. 30 seconds remain. Smokes, flashes, you name it, it's been thrown. I'm pretty sure there's a kitchen sink, maybe even a toilet in there somewhere. We are going to see Molotovs. Oh, beautiful shot. That is a decapitation from Greatest. Oxide good enough for 1. Oxide needs a huge hold here, able to find himself a second. Can't get a third, however. Nice to be able to take the danger man on this B side down. That bomb to be planted. Hecky to find himself a little bit of a frag. We are going to see Zek with that AWP continuing to take damage, take lives, and more importantly, thrive under the pressure here that the Roses have put on themselves. We are going to slowly see this CT side. A big round for them. A big performance needed. In feed 2. Get himself that trade frag. Now Hecky off to save. And all of a sudden, good goes from bad to now dire for Team Narcis. They've had themselves such an aggressive lead throughout this game. Can you slowly see now? It's looking to be the Roses trying to cap this game off. They've done so much. in terms of being able to claw their way back into this game. An almost perfect performance coming through. As high as 2. Try and get a little bit of damage. That bomb to go down. Very little to be said here from Team Narcis. Staring down the barrel of a loss. We are going to see Rose. The Rose is able to continue their pressure coming through. It is going to be a big fight, definitely around this short area of the map. However, the presence coming from Mackie will be huge. Phasing through that smoke will actually get caught out. Oxide and Hecky to be stuck here in this 2v4 situation, needing to isolate some frags and quite quickly. Oxide goes down. Hecky to be stuck in the 1v4 will eventually go down, and Roses complete the comeback. 7 rounds in a row as we see Roses able to find themselves a massive amount of damage to come back. It was a 10-5 score at one game. As we see the Roses fighting back, and Team Narcis obviously not too happy. Speaking of not too happy, I assume everyone in chat isn't going to be too happy because I have to go. Oh, I know, I'm the worst. I have to go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you joining me here tonight. Of course, I've been your caster, Flamboyant. I hope you guys have yourselves a safe, happy night wherever you are in the world. I'm going to go off and party because DreamHack is in my city. And that means that the pubs are going to be open all night. No, that's a joke, of course. That's a joke, of course. I'm going to go back to my interviews. Of course, check out the interviews I did with Shine and with Moshi from 1pin and K10 respectively. They are now up on the SCL website. An absolute pleasure to sit down with those two gentlemen and have a chat. Apart from that, I do have to go. It's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you guys for some more Counter-Strike, probably tomorrow. Peace.